Hello, welcome back, my favorite movement enthusiasts, to today's session of hip, knee and ankle mobility, where we will bulletproof all three of those joints just so we can stay healthy, limber and loose and have enough strength as well as coordination and endurance when it comes to working with those three joints. So if you're ready, let's get right into it. Now, as usual, we will start out with the easiest exercises first, this time in a seated position with our legs right in front of us. Might be a Turkish seat if you can't sit like that. Or for instance, your knees are all the way up here. Don't worry about it. It's good enough. We're gonna work through it. We're gonna start by extending a leg outwards, which is gonna require a little bit of strength in our hip flexors and in our quadriceps. Before we pull it in again and reverse and switch to the other side. Left leg completely extended and pull it in. You're gonna notice we also require a little bit more core strength so we don't fall backwards. And we also require a little bit of flexibility in our posterior chain so we don't fall backwards. So now we can combine ankle, knee and hip mobility by not only extending said leg, but also by actively pulling our toes in for some ankle flexion and strengthening our tibialis. So now we're strengthening our hip flexors, our quads, and our tibialis before we move on to the other side. Now we're not gonna do a lot of repetitions for this exercise, just 2 more. There you go. You can also bring your arms forward to help compensate a little bit with a lack of strength in your abs. But if you don't need that, amazing. Last repetition. We're gonna change our starting position from here by extending both legs. We're still in the very beginner friendly, very easy level of exercise. Pull your foot in. It doesn't have to be all the way up to your glutes. You can pull them right here to the same level as your knee. We're gonna go into external rotation in that hip joint. It doesn't have to be all the way down, and you're gonna once again notice we require a little bit more of core strength for these exercises. So if you are struggling with that, struggling with sitting upright with your legs completely extended in front of you, then by all means sit with a wall behind your back, or you can even just lean back. It's not that important because our main focus today is going to be those 3 joints. And the good thing about this is that those 3 joints usually pretty much always work in conjunction with each other, because it's very hard to work on your hip mobility without including knee and ankle mobility. We're gonna use this compound movement style training to our advantage. We're gonna do 2 more repetitions. Pull in, push out, reverse, extend, find 1 for the left side, push out, pull in and extend. We're gonna switch starting positions once more. So I'm gonna give you 2 viewpoints here. First, a sideways view. Now we're gonna have a little bit more rotational mobility in our hip joint. Try once again to stay fully upright and extend your leg backwards. Push your hips down. We're lengthening our hip flexor and our quadriceps. Now we're gonna go for full rotation, like so. Cross over and pull that foot in. This is gonna help us release tension in our glutes, the outside of our upper leg musculature, which in turn is gonna help us release tension in these joints. And now we're gonna reverse the entire movement. And once we're behind our back, we're gonna pull it in and we're gonna switch to the other leg. We have complete extension backwards. We're actively pushing our hips down, meaning we need to flex our hip extensors, our glutes. Go for this complete rotation, cross over, pull in, have this nice little stretch in the side, and then we're gonna go for this entire rotation, reversal, and pull in. Now you're once again gonna require a little bit more balance and core strength. You're gonna notice this is gonna be a common theme today. If you struggle with that, you can use your hands on the side to help you out the slightest bit. Reverse the movement and pull in. Now, if I am working too fast or too slow for you, you can adjust your own pace. You can pause the video at any time and you can repeat as often as you like. If there is one of these exercises that you enjoy more, then incorporate it or add a handful of more repetitions. And if there is an exercise that you do not agree with at all, just let it go and move on to the next one. There you go. We're gonna pull in. We have that nice little stretch and reverse. And those complete rotations in our hip joint going into this internal rotation and reversing into this external rotation feels pretty good in the hip. Going through those long movements with ever increasing ranges of motion are a lot of fun. But that's like my subjective opinion, dude. Pull in, we have our final repetition, extend, pull in, and reverse. One of the bonuses when sitting like this is also that we're going into ankle extension. Now we're stretching our tibialis, which we were first strengthening by going into ankle flexion. And to keep this benefit going, we're gonna use this as our next starting position as well. We're gonna add some hip flexor as well as extensor stretches from here. We're gonna get up, get into a lunging position. We're gonna push our pelvis forward. We're gonna lengthen our hip flexors and our quadriceps, and we wanna push our knee forward as much as we can. We wanna have the strongest ankle flexion you can get into before we slowly come back, sit down all the way, and then switch it up. Push forward. Lengthen your hip flexors on the other side, and if you're really tight in your hips and around your hips, you're gonna feel the tiniest bit of stretch in your abdominal musculature as well. Don't worry about that, it's a great bonus. Slowly, reverse, and repeat for the other side. Now we're working really dynamically with all of these exercises. If you feel like one of these exercises is really good or feels really good, then by all means, you can hold it statically for up to 30 seconds before you reverse and switch to the other side. So most of these exercises will be possible to be done statically, even though I'm more a fan of the dynamic movements, because we are adding a strength aspect, we are adding an endurance aspect to our work, and we need a little bit more control. And in my opinion, it's a little bit more fun. We have a final repetition for both sides. Forward to the left, push your knee forward as much as you can. Reverse, and other side. We are actively flexing our extensors and releasing our flexors in the front. And reverse. And before we switch starting positions, we have one more exercise from here with a leg extended, because we're once again going to combine core strength with hip flexor and quad strength by raising that leg and having to stay stable in our upper body before we let go and try and move forward into this forward fold or semi-forward fold, because we're only using a single leg, and pull your upper body actively down. Now we are using our leg musculature, the antagonists of the muscles. We want to stretch to pull us further and further and further down, instead of grabbing our leg and trying to pull with our arms. This is going to help us learn how to activate these muscles, and in turn is going to help us become more mobile much faster. All the way down, sit up, elevate, reverse, all the way down, only as far as you can. If this is the end of your range of motion, it's totally fine. Just going through the motions is already everything we need. Without worrying about your range of motion, over time, it is going to get better and better and better. Final repetition for the left side. And all the way down. And now we're going to switch it up to the other side. Extend your right leg, sit down on your left foot, extend that ankle and flex this one. Pull it up, down, and lengthen your posterior chain. Sit up, strengthen your anterior chain, bring it down, stretch your posterior chain. We are flexing those muscles to pull our upper body down. We're not using our hands. For safety's sake, just put them sideways here, just to make sure you're not cheating. Pull it up and come forward once more. Now you're also going to notice, or at least many people are going to notice, that they can't raise their leg that much higher. That's also no problem. Even if it just lifts the tiniest bit from the ground, this is absolutely perfect. You just have to go through the motions. Final 2 repetitions for the right side. Elevation, reversal, posterior chain stretch, reversal, elevation, down with that leg and forward, and then pull it in, because now we're gonna switch our starting position for the final time today. So we're gonna start with internal rotation for our hip joint, left knee to the right foot. Now the very interesting thing here is our knee is not a rotational joint. However, we still have rotational forces working on our joints, and just having that in a controlled fashion is going to help us bulletproof our knees and bulletproof our ankles as well. So now we have internal rotation. Left side, reverse, we're rolling over our toes, we're going through ankle flexion, complete ankle flexion, and going back again. Final 2 repetitions. Internal rotation, left knee, switch it up, internal rotation, right knee, and reverse, because now we're gonna go into some external rotation and strengthening of our posterior chain once more, which is gonna help us stretch our anterior chain the tiniest bit. So we're moving with our knee outwards, slowly, in a controlled manner. If you don't have the control, then bring your hand down to the ground, push your hips forward, keep this knee bent. We have external rotation in both hips, and we're actively flexing our glutes and pushing our hips forward. Reverse, roll over your toes, and go for the other side. Push forward, and slowly reverse, and push forward, and slowly reverse. 4 more repetitions, then we're done with this exercise. All the way forward, all the way back, all the way forward, all the way back, all the way forward, reverse, roll over your toes, push forward, roll over your toes, and done. Final exercise from our starting position, just like before, right knee to the left foot, and then slowly roll over your toes, go into complete ankle extension, sit down, and we're gonna externally rotate our left leg as well. We're sitting in a 90-90 seated position, and now we wanna use our own strength, our hip flexors, our quads, and our abdominals to sit up, roll over our toes, and reverse the entire movement to the other side. If you do not have the strength or control to sit up like so, then by all means use your hands. Bring that leg up, pull yourself forward, bring the other leg up. Sit down, and the other side. Internal rotation in the right hip, full extension in the right ankle, rotation in both knees, external rotation in the left hip joint, reverse in a controlled manner, and repeat to the other side. Let's go for 2 more rounds, and then you've earned your break. Internal rotation here, external rotation here, and reverse. Repeat on the other side a final time, and reverse. And there you go, a nice routine to bulletproof our hip, knee and ankle joints. We're stretching our anterior chain, we're stretching our posterior chain, and basically every single muscle that is in any way connected to all of these joints that we took as our major focus for today. Now, with that said, sadly, once again, that's all the time I've left for you today. However, if you like the video and subscribe, and please guys, check out other videos on this channel, because we literally have new ones every single day, which means that I will see you tomorrow. Captain Cairo, peace out.